What's up, everybody? This is Casey Cadaver, your co-host for the Roxy Horror Casey Show. Sorry if I sound a little nasally. It's a little allergies still going off, but it's too nice out here not to do this out on my deck with my custom-made beanie, horror beanie. I'll put the link in the description of where I got this awesome patch. I keep seeing him at all the horror conventions, and I see the guy every time. And he actually recognizes me, and it feels so cool. And I always like getting the patches and stickers. They're really neat people. Anyway, we're here to talk about my favorite horror movie, which feels weird because it's actually my favorite movie of all time. Only beating out like The Thing and Evil Dead, and very recently, Poor Things. Only slightly beating those out, but for good reasons, just small reasons that make it special to me. Day of the Dead, Romero's third of his amazing trilogy, I think is an unsung hero. I found out about it from VH1's I Remember the 80s, or Remember the 80s, or what the fuck was it called? I love the 80s, I love the 80s. It was about that. And I was just, my dad was watching it, and then they brought up this like zombie movie, and I was like, well, fuck yeah, I love zombies. And then they had like the hearts, and they showed like the gore, and it's the scene, spoiler alert, it's the scene where he's on like the lab table, the zombie, he breaks free, and he rolls over, and all of his intestines fall out. And, it was a very short segment, but it was like, it hit me. And so I was like, all right, I gotta see what this is. So I went up to Blockbuster. Yes, I live behind a Blockbuster, which was my dream job, and they all shut down before I could get one there. And they had it. And I rented it, I came home, I watched it, and I was enthralled. Absolutely, just amazed from start to finish. From the very beginning, that starts kind of subtly, but with this ominous, macabre, air, but the bright, sunny, tropical feel. It was such a juxtaposition, such an odd setting that I was hooked. And then, of course, you get the dead city. I think it's in Florida. You get this dead city, and it's weird, and they play that old synth music, and you see the newspaper fly up. It's like the dead walk, and it goes run. It's like, oh my god. And then they have a real fucking alligator. With fun fact, his mouth was duct tape, but I can't imagine being one of the zombies doing that. And then you see the first zombie of the movie shuffle out, and his jaw is just gone, and the tongue is hanging low, and it's slopping blood, thick coagulated blood out of it, and the eyes are shifting, and it's like, how the fuck did you do that in the 80s, right? And you come from Dawn of the Dead, which I watched. I don't know if I was tired, but it just didn't hit me, and all the zombies are just blue, and maybe I was just over the mall trope at the time, but then this hit me like a sack of rotting bricks. So I picked this up at a local bookstore, Wonder Books. I don't know how far they go, but there's it here in Maryland, and there's a few that pop around. Awesome store. Kind of thrifty, but not nearly as much as I wish it was. And I found this collector's edition. A bub. So you open that up, you get the zombie. First one, spoiler alert number 2. And Logan, Dr. Frankenstein. But it's also cool. It's a dual disc. One's bonus materials, one's the feature presentation. But the really cool thing is it comes with this little notebook, right? And it has Dr. M. Logan from the Files of. And then it has all these neat illustrations, it's just science notes. But then it's little reviews from other people in the horror genre. The first one's Roger Ebert. And it's like a synopsis and a review of the movie and how iconic it was, with the small illustrations, um, and like little notes like could alter state of aggressiveness with brain surgery. Um, and then you have all these little like illustrations, which is so cool. And I love it. That kind of looks like something from The Haunted Mask, which is also a baller movie. Oh my god! And then it even like goes through and it kind of shows the degradation of Logan. Just incredible. Just a nice. I mean, I haven't seen anything like this in a while. And then it actually has like the scene's blurred. And then it actually has like the scene guide and everything on the back, like a whole CD. And I don't know. I haven't bought too many DVDs that have this kind of detail in a while. And let's see, when did this come out? When did they redo this one? Because I can't believe they redid this one. I don't know, but if you're not familiar with it, it's not your typical zombie movie, and it's kind of fun. Okay, short sidebar. It's kind of cool. So my friends knew I loved horror from back in the day, and I was like the creepy friend. Go figure. And so I remember one Halloween after I discovered this movie, people were like, "Oh, Casey's gonna bring over his favorite scary movie. It's gonna be freaking intense. Like, he's the creepy dude. He should be our guide to horror movies." And they're like, "I've never felt so seen. I've never felt so honored. I get to be the guy who brings over the Halloween movie for our Halloween party." And this is before we even like drank or smoked. At least I didn't. And I brought over the Day of the Dead, and it is not a fast-paced movie. It's not full of jump scares. It's not full of. It does have gore, but it's not like constant. It really shows you some of the characters. Shows the. Anyway, long story short on that one, everybody fell asleep. Everybody fell asleep, and I'm sitting there just like, oh my god, I love this movie. Everybody's asleep. And from then on, I lost my credential as the horror movie expert, creepy fan of the group. Even though I think I still retain it, but they did not. So what I was saying is, if you're not familiar with the movie, it is scientists, and it's after the events of it's obviously after the events of Dawn of the Dead. It's progressed into the apocalypse, not to like Walking Dead's, possibly, but there's an established military base where they threw together a bunch of scientists in there to try to figure out what's happening, to try to figure out anything they can, and they give them like this small military group to protect them, to help them out, zombies, dangerous situations, to kind of like run the military base they're aware of, but then also facilitate the laboratories. You kind of get a feeling that you're definitely a few months in. I've many times watched it, I can't remember if it's how if they ever say how far it is. It's definitely a few months in, but they still have some hope. But they're starting to lose contact with the outside world. So the idea is idea of other people surviving and the idea of help coming is dwindling, but it's like nobody wants to say it. So the claustrophobia of being underground constantly, because above ground, like the base is surrounded by zombies constantly. So you get the claustrophobia, you get the close quarters, the different ways of tackling things, and the different mindsets between the military side and the science team. They have a little setup in these catacombs where they can store and capture zombies and get them and take them into the lab, and slowly they kind of realize the zombies realize where they're going and what happens to them, which is neat. And then Logan, like doctor, like crazed hair and all that stuff, he's performing other experiments, and he starts thinking he he can like make zombies behave if you treat them like kind of like dogs. Like if they do good things and they don't try to eat you, you feed them a little something. And it is funny, at one point they even kind of mentioned that the military supplied this like fake human meat, which of course zombies don't like. But then you get introduced to Bub, a boy, named after Dr. Logan's father, who was a surgeon that they called Bub. And he shows no aggression when he's confronted and introduced to humans. He's infatuated with tiny baubles and trinkets of the old world and old technology of society. And then, you know, people get a little bit more intense and afraid and aggressive, and it all kind of goes downhill, as these things tend to do. You know, one person takes a trip too far, somebody dies, and then whoever takes over becomes much more aggressive and more dictator-esque, which then nobody wants to deal with. And then but even throughout the movie, even though it's not constant, like in your face action, you know, action, gore, scares, jump scares, the gore that pops up every once in a while is amazing. One, tactics I haven't seen in many movies lately. They do this stuff called bits of flesh. Somebody gets his neck ripped open, and it is the most beautiful thing about this movie. It's all under fluorescent lights. Nothing is hidden. Nothing is hiding in shadows. It is under bright fluorescent lights. This one guy gets his neck bit, and it zooms in, and he rips it, and you watch the flesh stretch, tear, and then under it even looks like different colored like cords and veins, and you watch them tear and get exposed, and the blood that gushes out of them. And then the dude gets shot in the head because he wants to put him out of his misery, and it is the best like shot acting that I've seen. And then just the entry and exit wound, it's astounding. Somebody was flexing hard, and how that didn't become the gold standard for gore from then on out, I do not understand. And then, yes, in the lab from the VH1 special, a zombie flips over on the table, breaks free, and then he leans over, reaches for the main character, and all of his intestines fall out, and they fall out and slop the floor. Little known fact, they used, different times back then, they used real animal intestines for that movie. Those are real intestines. That is a real viscera. Which maybe that's why it didn't become the gold standard, now that I say that. But I loved it, and I'm impressed by that. A lot of people, oh my god. Again, if you're already intrigued, go watch it. But I will talk a little bit more about the gore. Towards the end of the movie, you know, one by one, the guys are getting torn apart, and the army guys decide to take out some of the science guys, so everybody's just fucking running and trying to escape. And one of the dudes, two of the coolest deaths I've ever seen in a movie. One dude gets laid down, and the zombies are ripping into him, and they put their fingers in his eye sockets, and they're tearing his head off. So as he screams, you hear his vocal cords stretch and his voice get higher, which is awesome. And then you see his whole head be carried away as his mouth is still moving. And then another guy gets knocked down, they're tearing him apart. And you watch him, and this is something I always want to see in a zombie movie, and they did it. They grab his head, and they pull up from his eyelid, and they just, you know, it's just zombies, right? Just dumb strength and just nothing held back. Grab his head and rip up, and you see the flesh rip off the skull, but the skull's still there, because of course they're not strong enough to crack the skull, but they rip up, and you see up under the skin and his exposed eyeball, and it's just peel his head back. It's like, holy shit, that's how a zombie attack would be. It would just be unbridled rage and tearing. like animalistic, ripping and tearing. Just like realistic, like animalistic, like feeding. And then of course is the famous last scene when Rhodes, the one who became in command after another general passed away, his death scene is famous, which always confused me why this is such an unsung hero. At least it has been for so long. I think just got a resurgence slowly. But this scene is famous. He gets knocked down and all these zombies, he's trying to escape Bub. Bub has gotten a gun and is now walking through the facility, shoots Rhodes. Rhodes goes to open the door, full of zombies, obviously full of zombies. He turns around, he gets shot again, falls back into the zombies, and fuck off, lantern fly. And they reach into his gut and they just open him up. He's screaming, choke on him, but they rip him open and there's just nothing but guts and intestines and flesh being ripped out and then put in his mouth. All real intestines, all real animal intestines. Fun fact about that movie, this might become a constant thing with me, apologies, except not, because that's what this channel's for. Somebody, allegedly, the legend is somebody tripped over the electric cord to the refrigerator holding the intestines. So they may have reused these a few times and put them right back in the refrigerator. Somebody tripped over the cord, that it was unplugged, so when it came to film this scene, they were warm and on the brink or started to rot. So when he opened up and he was just full of all these real intestines, the smell just went right in his face. As he's open mouth acting, screaming. Another horror actor snubbed. That's real acting. To be able to scream and act and keep it together. Although I probably wouldn't want to scream if you smelled that. But all of it rushed into his face. Shout out to that whole team. Amazing team. Some of the few people I really would like to meet one day, and just all fun, interesting characters. There's like a pilot and a radio specialist who live off of the facility underground in like a more dangerous area, and they have like a little trailer set up, and they get drunk, and oh my god, they get drunk and they hang out one night with Sarah, the main character, as she's just trying to keep everything together while they're just out on the outskirts hanging out. And dude, the pilot, I think just spits out one of the best monologues I've ever seen in a horror movie, and especially in a zombie movie. He goes into this whole thing about how they're living in this bunker and they're surrounded by all the documents and records of basically human society, about human society, just all things we've recorded through human history is down there. Seismic records, Wall Street, everything that's ever happened. And he's looking through it. He goes, we have all these charts, like, what do they mean? What do they mean? He's like, he says, why don't we just go off and start something else and teach our kids never to come down here, reach these up, never to learn our old ways, because clearly they weren't good. They ended us up here, and it's not worth it. We wasted our lives in these rat races and documenting everything when we just forgot to just live, and now we're surrounded by the dead. And then he goes into the whole thing. He was like, maybe about kind of trying to explain how things went, and he's like, well, maybe we got too smart. Maybe we got too close to God and figuring his shit out, and he decided to show us what hell was like and remind us that he is still the big man. And the delivery of that shit is totally wasted on me telling you this way, but it's so good. Like, the movie's tempo, is incredible. Between action, slight comedy at times, depending on your level of depravity, horror, gore, drama. It has everything. After being asked this question 1,000 times, what's your favorite movie of all time? I like I like Broadway musicals. I like comedies, and I like action. Love horror. So there's always different genres, but it's like this is mine. This was a formative movie for me. This was a gorgeous, just all around delight of a movie. And if you haven't seen it, please treat yourself. Like, Night of the Living Dead and Day of the Dead are like neck and neck for me, because the one's iconic for kicking it all off, and I think the other one's, for a trilogy to have it this way, is incredible to see how it progressed, what more they can get away with, ideas they can bring to fruition after so many years, the acting prowess they had access to, just all around phenomenal movie. To the point where I still need the soundtrack on vinyl, just to give me some tinglies every once in a while without having to sit down for the movie. I can clean to. But yeah, George A. Romero's Day of the Dead, the third, absolutely my favorite movie of all time. Please watch it, or tell me what you think about down below. And if you didn't like it, sucks to be wrong. But I think even people who aren't zombie fans would like this movie, because it's not your typical one. And if you like the more recent movies with the slow burns, I think you'd like it too. It's got a lot more depth to it than any other horror movie of its time. And yeah, thanks.